Welcome to the 10th week. Topic 6. Classification of the theme parks. How are theme parks classified? Theme parks can be classified in several ways according to different criteria, but the most important criteria to consider are size and theme. Either due to the physical size of the park or the volume of the investment made, or by the number of visitors, we can classify theme parks into 4 levels: World Dimension Megaparks, Continental Dimension Parks, International Dimension Parks, and National Dimension Parks. In the first classification, we have World Dimension Megaparks. Megaparks are reasons for world tourist attraction, and they are in fact tourist destinations all by themselves. It is the unique case of Orlando and its different and complementary theme parks that attract more than 30 million tourists annually. On the second level of this classification, we have continental dimension parks. The parks of this classification are normally located in areas of high density population. Attendance levels are between 5 and 10 million of annual visits. Euro Disney in Paris, Tokyo Disneyland in Japan, Shanghai Disneyland in China are examples of continental dimension parks. On the third level of this classification, we have the international dimension parks. The theme parks in this level have annual volume visitors between 2.5 million and 5 million. In this classification of parks, we can mention Six Flags Mexico, Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen, Denmark, and Chimelong Paradise in Guangzhou, China. On the fourth level of this classification, we can find the national dimension parks. In this level, we can find those parks whose demand ranges from 1 million and the 2.5 million annual visits. Xcaret is possibly the prototype of this type of park in Mexico. But what about smaller parks? Those parks whose spatial attraction is less than the national dimension typically do not acquire the character of a theme park. They are simple amusement parks that normally do not reach 1 million visitors per year. In relation to the theme parks can be classified as follows: childhood regression, historical, fiction and fantasy, nature, technology and science, and specialized. First, we have the childhood regression parks. The perfect example of this classification are all the Disney parks, but it started in Europe in 1952 with the Efteling, a Dutch theme park based on children's stories from European literature. Other parks with these characteristics are the Legoland parks. On second place, we have the historical parks. These parks seek a regression to the history itself through its recreation on natural or artificial scenes, independently of if it's real or mythical character. The French park of Asterix is a good example of this. Other examples are Terra Mítica in Benidorm or Xcaret on the Mexican Mayan coast, which is a new concept of archaeological, historical, nature park. On third place, we have fiction and fantasy parks. These are theme parks that are based on the recreation of movies or stories that had a great impact. The best examples of this kind of theme parks are the Universal Studio Parks and the MGM Studio Parks. Regarding to nature theme parks, the best example is SeaWorld, one of the Orlando Resort theme parks whose attractions and shows all revolve around the sea and its creatures. But also, the cold nature parks are a modern presentation of the old houses of beasts, also called menageries in the past, remember? Where fauna from all over the world is exhibited, but not caged as in the past, but in wide environments as natural as possible. On fifth place, we have technology and science parks. This classification refers to those theme parks linked to new technologies, whose most characteristic example could be Futuroscope in Poitiers, France, and Epcot Center in Orlando, Florida. And finally, we have specialized theme parks. And in this classification, we can place all the new parks that are being created with more specialized concepts that do not fit in the previous classifications. One example can be the Ferrari World in Abu Dhabi, Emirates. Regarding to the organizational structure of the theme parks, it's very important that you know that like any other company, the organizational structure of a theme park is the way in which its functions and positions are arranged in order to achieve its objectives. Of course, the structure of each company will be different as well as its goals and objectives are diverse. The organization chart is the most common way of representing the organizational structure of a company in a graphic and visually friendly way. It reflects the way in which each department works and how communication flows through its different positions. As we said before, every company will have a different organizational structure because their goals and strategies are different. Anyway, maybe you want to know how theme parks like Disneyland or Shelha are managed. So, here we have Disney's organizational structure. On the first level, we have the chairman of the board, who is the highest official of all the organization. On the second level, we have the chief financial officer, the deputy general counsel, the marketing and sales department, the new vacation and Disney Cruise Line operation president, the Walt Disney Imagineering president, the human resources, and finally the president of communications and public affairs. And if you want to know how a national theme park is managed, take a look at Shelha's organizational structure. On the first level, we have the directors board. On the second level, we have the CEO. And on the third level, we have the commercial director, the executive management, and the administration and finances director. And as you can see, they all take care of a lot of departments and issues. Interesting, isn't it? Well, we have reached the end of the topic. So thank you very much for your attention. And remember that if you have any doubt, you can ask me using our Google Classroom. Have a nice day.